In this lesson, you will learn how to open PowerPoint from Microsoft Project. You will have to own both software to be able to make it work. This should work for the latest versions of both Microsoft Project and PowerPoint. If you are new to using macros or VBA in Microsoft Project, you may want to check out a mini intro course for free I have here on YouTube. I'll leave the link to the MS Project VBA course playlist in the description. If you really want to dive in deeper to learning the basics of Microsoft Project VBA, I also offer a full course. I'll leave the links below. Before we get started, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any new videos I publish. The first thing we do is open up Microsoft Project. This code should work for any of the latest versions of Microsoft Project from 2013 and later, although I have not tested it on 2013. A blank file will work for this lesson. We will not be doing anything else but opening up Microsoft PowerPoint here. As you can see, I already have my sample project open. It could be a blank file, but I'll just use this one and continue from the last lesson we had. So here you go to the Developer tab and then go to Visual Basic to get to the Visual Basic editor. Now that we are here in the VBA editor, we will add a new module. Go to the Project Explorer and right-click on the current project. Right here I can see that there is my sample aircraft modification project, which is the one I'm working on. I'm going to right-click on there and click on Insert and insert my new module. As you can see, I already have here automatically option explicit, so I can start coding and make sure to declare all my variables. This helps in minimizing the amount of errors we may encounter when we are coding. Below the option explicit, we will add a new procedure called Open PowerPoint. I will use camel case, meaning I will start the first word with lowercase and then the first letter of each next word will be capitalized. So right here, I will go ahead and write sub to start my subroutine. And then I'm going to do space. And then I'm going to write what I just said, open PowerPoint. And I'm going to click a few times. As you can see, automatically I get this open and close parenthesis after my subroutine. And this is made sure to be uppercase. And the VBA editor entered my last line that is always necessary. It's end sub. So where I'm going to put all my code will be between these two lines right here. So I can go up here and then click in by doing tab, and I am ready to start coding. Since we are only opening PowerPoint and nothing else in this video, we only need a couple of variables. Before we start coding right here, I want to make sure that I go and add the Microsoft Project Object Library to my file right here that I'm working on. So to do that, I go to Tools up here in my menu and then click on References so we can see all the libraries. Right here you can see I already have some libraries already chosen that are important. I will go and scroll down to go find the Microsoft PowerPoint object library. So we scroll down, it's in alphabetical order. So it's usually under Microsoft Office, or it's actually not under Microsoft Office. It's Microsoft PowerPoint. And then this number in here might be different for you. If you have an earlier version, it might be a 12, possibly a 14.0, doesn't matter. The one you see for your computer, that's the one you're going to mark. Mine is 16 and it's an object library. Now that you have marked it, you can click OK. So adding this library to your file will make sure that your file knows that when we're using PowerPoint code, it knows to go look at that library to be able to control PowerPoint from Microsoft Project. So it's very, very important. If you don't have the library, you will get errors and you will not be able to access PowerPoint from Microsoft Project. Just make sure that you understand that. So now that we have done that, we can start writing our variables. So our variables here, Since we're only opening PowerPoint and nothing else in this video, we only need to add a couple of variables. The first I will call PPT app. You could do PP app. You will see that a lot online, but I think I like PPT. So the first thing we do is start with the word dim and then space, and then we do PPT app space, and then we're going to do as PowerPoint, and you can see now that I have PowerPoint in here, which that means I have the library already referenced. So that's good. So I'm going to tab, get that in there, and I'm going to do dot application. So PPT app, this variable will point to our PowerPoint application. So now we need a new variable here, and we're going to call it PPT press for PowerPoint presentation because we need to make sure that we can actually start a new presentation. So we're going to do dim right here, and then we're going to write PT press as PowerPoint tab dot presentation. And as you can see there in the IntelliSense box, presentation appears. So you can click on tab on your keyboard or click on presentation and it will come in here. You can also type it all out. That's fine too. All right, so we have our two variables that we need for this code. And then I'm going to leave an empty space between it, an empty line, so I can continue coding. Once we have these two variables, we will need a little bit of code to call PowerPoint and tell it to open up. So let's code it up. The first line we start with is with set, so that we can set the PowerPoint app a variable to point to the PowerPoint application. So our PowerPoint variable is the PPT. So let's write set space PPT app space equals space new PowerPoint dot application. We now need to do an enter to give us some space, another enter. Again, to reiterate the point, be aware that this piece of code will not work if you didn't refer to the PowerPoint library as we did earlier in the video. So the next line we need to write here is set PPT press equals space PPT app dot presentations dot add. Now PPT press is a variable that will be associated with the new presentation we add with this line. So we can always access this new presentation using PPT press. If we don't set it, we can just use this right here and we'll get the presentation, but we will lose control of the presentation to add anything else. But that's important for future lessons. Right now, this code will actually open your presentation. We just need to add a few more lines to be done. So let's get doing to that. We need to make sure that we can view the presentation and make it visible. So we're going to go ahead and add that piece of code. So we're going to do ppt app dot visible equals true. And then we're going to have to do ppt app dot activate. And that should bring it forward so we can actually see the presentation, because that's exactly what we want to achieve in this lesson. All we have left is to clean up the code and close down the PowerPoint variable so we can release memory used by our computer. Some users don't do this and it works perfectly for them, but I like to clean up my code, have it nice and tidy. So I'm going to make sure to close down the PPT press and PPT app variables that are pointing to PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to write here cleanup and I'm going to set to nothing. Before we continue, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell so I can continue making these great videos and you will be notified immediately after I publish them. So now that we have finished coding this, we can save our code. Don't forget that, because if something goes wrong, you want to make sure that if Microsoft Project crashes, you're able to go back and open the project file that had the code and see what went wrong. You don't want to lose all the work you have done. So to do that, we need to make sure that we are in here in our file and we go to save, and you can see save sample aircraft modification project is in the tooltip, and that's exactly what we want to save. So we click save. Now that we have saved it, we can run the code. We make sure that we are clicked in here in our subroutine before we run it. We can go up here to our standard bar and click on this run button, this green triangle, or we can go to run in this menu, open it up and hit on run, or also you can use F5 to run it. So I'm just going to run it right here, click on run, and on my other screen I got this presentation. So as you can see, I have this first, there's no slide or anything. It has no name or anything. It just says presentation 49 because I have been practicing a lot of my VBA code. And so I have opened a lot of presentations. So yours is probably presentation 1 if you don't have any other presentations open. So that's all. Go ahead and feel proud of yourself for doing this. You have now connected to PowerPoint using Microsoft Project VBA. It wasn't so hard, was it? It's pretty cool. In this lesson, you learned how to open up PowerPoint using VBA in Microsoft Project. In the next lessons, you will learn how to add slides, add shapes, and much, much more.